progressing through my journey, I really realized that a lot of people, myself included, I'm not an exception to this, they feel like they cannot show up authentically as they are because we've been told that we shouldn't be who we are, especially as professionals, especially people like lawyers, doctors, other business entrepreneurs. We have been told to fit this professional mold and we cannot go outside of that box. The issue that I found with that is that I'm way more than what I do, which is I'm way more than being a lawyer. There's so many other more interesting things, believe it or not, about me that have nothing to do with my profession. For example, I am an avid yogi. I love practicing yoga. I love pushing myself. I even tried acrobatic yoga to take my practice to another level. I love reading. I love studying astrology. I love going outside and traveling, and there's so many other things that I want to be doing with my time other than fitting the box of a lawyer who owns a law firm. And once I started really going out on my own and feeling comfortable with who I am, what my desires are, what my purpose is, who my clients are, and who my employees are, just really getting a good sense of my own authenticity, I started to let myself be seen in my consultations and on Instagram and on all these other platforms that people were watching me. You know, either they were paying to watch me on Zoom because they paid for my consultation, or they were watching me on social media. And I realized that the more I would show myself in my consultations, the more I would get hired. And then I really realized that people don't buy from businesses, they buy from other people. And so the more that I could show that, hello, I'm a human, the more I'm able to actually weed out the people that I don't want to work with and bring in the people that I do want to work with because they can see me and they connect with me. And then it's so much easier to show up for them as their lawyer, as their coach, as their advisor, as someone in their corner helping their business grow and move forward because they see parts of themselves in me and I see parts of myself in them as well. So there was this sense of freedom when I also really stepped into my authenticity as well. So before I ended up traveling the world and running my business, I was living in Miami and my husband would help me a whole lot with my law firm. He was incredibly supportive with my marketing and he was incredibly supportive with having so much more trust and encouragement and belief in me that I had in myself, which was earth-shattering to actually realize that someone could support you more than you even support yourself sometimes. And he really helped me figure out what is the vision that we want for our lives. And that was where we started envisioning traveling together, living together, being in these new cities where we may not speak the language and we're in different time zones. And there was this sense of, okay, I can go anywhere in the world as long as I go with him because he felt like home to me. I was like, this is someone that as long as I'm with him, I'm home. And once I kind of realized that it was not the best idea to think that home is outside of me, in a person, in a place, in a business, in a partnership, and whatever, that I am home no matter where it is that I am. Because later on, when my husband passed away, my dreams did not pass away with him. And that was also something that I really had to wrap my head around, which society doesn't tell you, that when you're grieving a loved one, you are also grieving the plans that you guys had together. And so there was this period where I really had to think, do I want to continue going after those plans even though he's no longer with me? And so that was something that it took me a while. It took me quite some time. And not necessarily to agree that yes, I wanted this desire to continue and I wanted to live this life, but the challenge was not feeling guilty about it, not feeling like I'm supposed to now show up as this like widow kind of a situation. And so I was able to kind of make the decision, and then now this is majorly why the way that I'm living is still living out the dream, even though the dream looks different, even though people are different in the vision that I had for myself. So that was also something really, really instrumental in moving my practice forward and actually going after my dreams, was making that decision and moving in that direction. The other thing is that there were parts of myself along my journey that's had to shed layers of myself. So there are parts of me that I really realized could not continue to go with me in my journey. There were emotions of anger, there was emotions of not trusting myself, of not trusting that I would be provided for, that I'm guided, that I have the answers, that I can handle it. There was all these questions around whether or not to actually go forward. And what that really required was that I had to sit with my emotions. I actually realized that I have very deep-seated emotions, and I'm actually a very deeply emotional person. But having emotions doesn't necessarily mean that I need to act on those emotions. And that was very empowering when I was able to feel what I felt, but also not react to how I was feeling. And so one of the big things in my journey has been learning to sit with my own emotions and learning to not want to change them, not want to push them down or put them aside or ignore them or even judge them, but mainly just keep that emotion company and let it keep me company, because there's something that emotion is here to help me understand. If there is anxiety, that means that there's something about worry that I need to address and to look at. And there is where I found the root of the self-trust. I was always anxious and worried because I didn't trust that I could actually handle things. So those are just some examples of how I was tasked with having to shed parts of myself, parts of stories that I used to tell myself all the time that I had to let go of. So going along with the fact that I am way more than just a lawyer, I actually then had to start stepping away from my lawyering responsibilities. And the only way that I was able to do that without imploding my business was to start delegating things, especially things I did not want to do. For example, like answering the phone. I did not want to answer the phone, and so there was a time where I was answering my own phone, and I had to understand that no, there are way better things that I could be doing with my time than picking up the phone. And so I started learning to delegate and starting to just make a list of what is the least thing that I want to do in my daily life. When I'm working in my firm and in my business, what's those things I just don't enjoy doing? Those are the first I'm going to delegate. Not doing things that I don't really enjoy doing, because it would take me out of the joy of having my own business, so that I couldn't really focus on the things that I liked to focus on. So I started learning that I needed to start delegating. In order to delegate, I needed to have processes, I needed to have written procedures, I needed to have videos of explaining things, of how to do tasks, because there's one thing that I don't enjoy, and that is repeating myself. And so I had to learn how to delegate things and get things off of my desk and let someone else handle it, so that I can then do more of the things that I enjoy doing. If I'm not spending time answering the phone, it's because I'm over here doing yoga or on another trip or learning about astrology or whatever it is that I want to be spending my time doing. But it's also understanding that in order to have that freedom to do what it is that you like to do, and that brings you joy, that brings you passion, you still have the responsibility of the business that is supporting you to do all these things. So I had to really step up into the delegation and be comfortable in delegating, because at the end of the day, no one's going to do the job as best as you can, but you need to hire someone who is competent enough to be able to do a good job representing your business, your image, your brand, so that you can trust them to do what it is that they're supposed to be doing, so that you can go and do what you're supposed to be doing and enjoy the freedom of having your own business.